Simple Decorating Tips and Frame and Frills presents how to apply Fusion Mineral Paint Tough Coat. Tough Coat is a water-based finish perfect for over decoupage papers and to add extra protection. It's available in a matte or gloss finish. When I apply Tough Coat, the first thing I do is I get my applicator sponge wet, really wet, all the way through. So at first it kind of resists the water a little, squeeze it and make sure that that inner sponge is wet. After I'm sure that the applicator sponge is thoroughly wet all the way through, then I wring it really well to make sure I can get all the excess water out. My goal is to have a damp sponge but not be dripping wet at all. Unlike Fusion Mineral Paint, you don't want to shake the Tough Coat because it can introduce bubbles in it and that can dry in your finish. So I just like to roll it and swirl it. Sometimes there's a settlement at the bottom and you can just kind of swirl it back in gently. One of the keys to a successful Tough Coat finish is to apply the coats really, really thin. So that's why I start with a damp applicator pad, not a brush, and I just put a little bit of the Tough Coat in a tray. It does look a little cloudy when it's wet, but in a thin coat application, when it's dry, it dries very crystal clear. So I dip in just part of my applicator sponge and then I wipe it off so you can barely see there's a little bit on there, but it is very, very thin. This is a wipe on application. Once I start wiping it on, I don't want to go back and wipe again what I just put on unless it's immediately, because it does dry rather quickly, and once it starts to dry, if you go back and touch it, you're going to wind up with some sort of texture in that finish. So this is a fairly small table that I'm putting a finish on. That's actually a decoupage paper. But the idea is the same. You want to go in long strokes from one side to the other. The applicator sponge really helps because it's just stiff enough that you can get a nice even finish. However, if you miss a spot, don't go back and try to touch it up. Instead, just let it dry and be sure that you cover that spot on your next coat. Depending on your project, you might only need a couple of coats up to maybe 3 or 4 coats. So there you have it. This is the matte finish, a couple of coats on the sunflower table, all dry. By the way, you can make your own sunflower table like this in a DIY workshop from Frame and Frills, both available online or in the Frame and Frills workroom. Fusion Mineral Paint products, Tough Coat, the applicator sponge, and all other kinds of fun DIY products are available at frameandfrills.com.